Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Greenfield City Council meeting for June 17th, 2026. Okay, this meeting is being recorded by the City Council and the Greenfield Community Television's GCTV9. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson. Okay, we've got the recorder here. Welcome, everybody. If folks have public comment, we have a public comment sign-up sheet over here. And you'll have 3 minutes, and we'll explain it when you come in, but please sign up if you're interested in doing that. All right. Clerk Scott, can we take a roll call of members?
Absolutely. Do we have, no, we don't. Counselor Golub?
Here.
Counselor Gordon?
Here.
Counselor Dilmas?
Here.
Counselor Bottomley?
Here.
Counselor Bullock?
Here.
Counselor Williams?
Here.
Counselor Bolduc?
Here.
Counselor Webb?
Here.
Counselor Brown?
Here.
Vice President Garrett?
Here.
Counselor Minhas has not arrived yet. Counselor Sibison Alves?
Here.
President Wondolowski?
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Great. All right. Those who wish to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business is to approve the April 15th and May 20th City Council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Bullock and Bottomley.
All in favor? No abstentions? Thank you. Our first guest is the Superintendent of Schools and School Committee, and this is our last meeting with Superintendent Well, so before he sits down, I just want to thank you for your year of service to Greenfield and all you've done for us. Can I have a round of applause, everybody?
Thank you. Would have been an easy day to skip out and say it's the last day, right? I was at a pool party, I was telling the president, right? Something like that with all the things that were going on today. So now here we are, our last one. So we'll give you a quick update on what's going on here.
So I can just give a quick start by just reminding you all, you'll see this later on in your agenda when you're looking at the operations budget, but the school, we did vote at our meeting last week to approve the budget as presented to you all. This is a balanced budget. We are not asking you all for any additional funds, so hopefully that helps make your job a little bit easier. We were able to use some vacancy savings. I do just want to note, and that I would like to say, I'll say this again and again, we've been using vacancy savings to try to help balance this budget for the past several years. And what that means is that these are vacancy savings are positions we wish we could fill, and we are having a hard time filling them. So these are staff that we wish we could have. This is not a long-term solution, but is the one we have for you all this year. Ideally, next year, I'll come back to you with a different scenario and ask you for lots more money because we have lots more staff. So that's my hope. But for this year, we are not asking you all for any additional funds. And we thank you all for everything you've been able to do for us throughout the year anyway. Next up, talk a little bit about some of our athletics stuff. Green Wave Baseball Western Mass champs. Wow. Congratulations to our baseball. I know, right? Yeah. Give a round of applause. Thank you. Yes. For their 17-inning win over Lenox. That's a game. That's a lot of baseball. Girls tennis won their preliminary round over David Prouty and will be traveling to Manchester, Essex for a round of 32 match. Track had successful athletes in Western Mass and the States. Mason Umel placed second in pole vault in the States and Western Mass. Placed first in the 110, what was that?
Meters.
High hurdles. High hurdles. See, I didn't actually do any track as a kid, so I don't know any of these acronyms. High hurdles, that is 110 high hurdles and 400 high hurdles. I'm assuming that's a measurement. That's That's a lot. That's high. In Western Mass, and the state's placed third in 110 high hurdles and second in the 400 high hurdles. Jack Laurie won the javelin in Western Mass. Kira Tamson placed second in the 400 meter, third in the 100 meter, and placed sixth in the 400 meter hurdle at states. The 4x100 boys team relay, consisting of Jack Laurie, James Leovorshi, Yvonne Williams, and Kymel Ramsey, came in fourth in Western Mass and states. So, just saying, our athletics, like, we're kind of kicking ass. We're doing great. Next thing, I just wanted to come back. I mentioned this last month, but we do have a new advisory committee called the Long-Term Facilities Use Advisory Committee. This was stood up so that we could do some actual long-term thinking and planning regarding our facilities, our school buildings, how we want to actually organize ourselves across them, thinking of, and like, we're exploring all sorts of options. So we are exploring what would it look like to maybe consolidate buildings? What would it look like to maybe have in the future, not in the immediate sense, maybe a new unified elementary school? What could it look like to pursue working with other districts? Regionalization, is that a possibility? There's also a model for community schools. So this is going to be a group that actually is really digging into some of these different options. We are looking for participants. There's an interest form on the GPS website. Like, there's a whole little banner across the top. Click it, find it, you'll find the interest form. We have open positions. It's an advisory committee, so that means we are able to accept members of the public as being part of it, so that we want people beyond school committee members to be part of the decision-making and the planning and the learning related to facilities use. That interest form closes on the 22nd. We have plenty more spaces available last I looked at the responses, so if you're out there and you're like, I'm curious about buildings, you don't need to be an expert. I promise you, we're going to be bringing in the experts to us. But if you're like, I care about the future of these schools and the buildings and how we're organizing ourselves, I think I can contribute. Please take a look at the time commitment that's listed on the website. Please take a look at what it entails. And if you are interested, please submit that form. The steering group, which is myself and 2 other school committee members, for that will be reviewing the submissions on the 29th. So please get those in as soon as you are able, if that is of interest to you. And then lastly, for me, for my portion, I want to just remind people or note for people that we will be having our Summer Eats kickoff on the 24th, so that's next week. Last year, we served over 60,000 meals to folks, and I can't imagine that with the cuts to SNAP recently, that will be any less this year. So this is an important service that we are absolutely thrilled and honored to be able to provide for the community. And so we hope that you all will join us at the Green River Swimming Area for the Summer Eats Kickoff, 24th from 4 to 6. And if you haven't yet had the pleasure of meeting our incoming superintendent, she will also be there. So you can go there, meet her, get some face-to-face time, and enjoy some good food and other, I think, fun activities and such while you're there.
Thank you, Chair Sexton. You have in front of you some enrollment figures that we were just down, I say just, but 1 student from last month. But the last 2 months, we had a few move out, and our school committee asked, like, what happens to some of those students? So I did tell them, and I'm just letting you know that we did have a family move, 2 families separately, with a few students each moved to 2 different states down south. And we also had a family move to Europe as well, back to Europe, and we had 1 student transfer to Springfield. I say Springfield is a transfer, because when you're in the state of Massachusetts, they transfer the students and they're still counted, but when you're out of state, they're just, I say, gone from the state system in that sense for you there. So fortunately, you know, those last 2 months, and hopefully that, I know our new superintendent, you know, obviously tell her what I'm doing, and hopefully she'll continue a lot of these things. We'll keep you posted as to what's going on with those students, so that we didn't have to report to you a dropout per se, or something like that, or somebody leaving us for other reasons, which does happen. We know that at times. But these were moves, and all of them were actually moves out of state or moved to another district. I do have some highlights from each of our schools, just to kind of give a quick wrap-up of the year. I did ask our principals to let me know a couple things they were proud of in their schools. So at our early Academy of Early Learning, AEL, as you might have heard it referred to, or North Parish, you have a lot of names for a lot of schools and places, and we see them pop up in different places, right? You might have heard our Four Corners, their Discovery at Four Corners is now going to be called Four Corners, right? I mean, you hear it referred to different places. You're like, what school are we talking about right here? I'm like, North Parish. Where's the North around here, right? But at AEL, they did just select a new curriculum through a PRISM grant that we received from the state, focusing on high-quality instructional materials and literacy, and they will implement that in the fall. They also had a successful rollout of a new social-emotional curriculum this year, which was called Kimochis, which focuses on communication, respect, and kindness. At Four Corners, right, they began the year with 47% of their students reading on or above grade level, and ended the year with 62% of the students reading on or above grade level. And this year, over 70% of their English language learning students improved by at least one language proficiency level as compared to last year. At Federal Street School, they successfully implemented restorative practices learning pilot, and they had a map results indicated that their students performed at the 65th percentile for achievement while reaching the 84th percentile for growth, reflecting strong academic progress as well. At Newton, their students improved their reading performances significantly at all grades by using the U-Fly intervention in small groups. And the entire school focused this year on being and working on the Newton way, creating a culture of being kind, respectful, and being safe for all of their students. At the middle school, our fifth grade students with disabilities this year demonstrated double-digit gains on MAP testing and assessments in both reading and math. And they also had 7 multilingual learner students exit the program. So those were students receiving extra services. They are now out and into the mainstream for that, which is a great accomplishment. And Greenfield High School, you've heard me say earlier this year, had the Gary Rome Surprise Squad come out and recognize one of our students, Nate Woodard, and he was on TV all over Western Mass, and that played for a while. That was a nice go around for us. And they also did a lot of great things at the high school where they wanted to build well-rounded participation, and they had a unified basketball team, which combines regular athletes and special needs athletes together, and that's sponsored by the MIA now and plays different games against different communities as well too. Well, they did one of their games during the daytime and had the gymnasium filled with all their student body to watch them participate against another team. So that was great to have those students receive the recognition, because we all know what it's like, or you've seen crowded either football games or basketball games or different sporting events. Nothing like having your classmates cheer you on that as well. So those are some of the highlights for our schools. Just to quickly touch on, last week, we had a door incident at one of our school, at Federal Street School, where somebody got into a door. Right behind the individual were the Greenfield Police Department, who did a great job in alerting our staff and handling the situation professionally and kind with the young man that was involved. Yes, not nice that a door opened, right? We know that. We're looking into it. You've probably heard some things. You've read newspaper articles, et cetera. Some people will say, oh, people knew. I can tell you a lot of people didn't know, factually, right? And we also have an online maintenance system, ticketing type scenario where people can put in when things are broken to fix. I went back 2 years. There's nothing indicating on that door. Now, that doesn't mean something wasn't written down, right, or somebody didn't tell somebody, but it didn't go through that channel as well. And as we always say, right, I can't fix things that I don't know about, so they have to tell us in certain ways. So they did have a restorative group last night with some parents, and there's another one being held next week with administration with parents as well to talk about all the scenarios. But I want to thank the police for handling that in a nice way, and all of our teachers and staff, because at times it can be unnerving, right, when you're called into a shelter in place. There's no doubt about it. Ironically, though, gone are the days where some of you went to school, myself included, and didn't practice those things because we didn't have to, right? And I was probably in between. I didn't have to practice getting under the table for bombs, right, during wars that I've heard about, but I also didn't have to do this as a student. And now it gets to be, unfortunately, it's a different world and a little rite of passage for our students to practice those types of scenarios. So they did a nice job on that. I want to leave you with another nice note. Just received it yesterday, a nice email from one of our teachers, Marguerite Rancourt, who is at Four Corners, and she just wanted to share a nice note that said she got a very positive comment from Fred Veen, the director of the Beniski Museum in Amherst, He pulled her aside during their fourth grade field trip last week when our students went up there to let them know that they always look forward to having the Greenfield students at the museum. He told me Greenfield students are the best behaved and most interested in learning. He further stated that our students exude a sense of gratitude for being given the opportunity to learn. And it was not just for Four Corners. He was talking about all of our students who make trips up there. So congratulations to all of our teachers who do a nice job of prepping our students, right? The parents who do that as well too, and taking them up there, because it's always nice to go on a trip. I can recall the days when I took students on field trips and people would always say, "You're taking city kids?" When I was in Springfield on a field trip, and I'm like, yeah, because the people behave. They appreciate that. And it sounds like our students behaved obviously very well and appreciate going on these things, which is nice. So we appreciate that. Do want to make a quick thanks to the Greenfield recorder, Madison here, and Anthony, who was prior to that. Madison had a great article, you'll probably be in print tomorrow, about one of our retirees today. I was over at the high school where they had fire trucks from Gilmontague and Greenfield drive one of our retirees home, who was the former, I believe, deputy chief in Gilmontague, who retired after 33 years of teaching here. And we've always had nice press coverage, so thank you to them. And thanks to you, the city council, for all your support, not just of me, though I appreciate that as well too, but for the schools, really. Of all of our teachers, we see you at a lot of events. You came out for the facility tour. You've supported us during, budgetary times, whether it's regular budget, capital improvements, you name it, things that pop up. And I think that I would hope that things will continue. I do know the incoming superintendent, and I think that she'll be a nice fit with you and do well. So thank you for everything.
Councilors, any questions? Vice President Garrett.
I just want to echo the thanks for the service that you gave the city. You could have been retired, you could have been at pool parties all of last summer, but instead you helped us through, what, maybe it was a rebuilding year as far as relationships between the school committee and the city council. And, Chair Sexton, I also appreciate all the work you've put through. And it's great when public servants are able to come together and try to make things better. So I really want to just thank you, and I'm sure other folks will echo the same.
Thank you.
Councilor Webb.
Ditto. Yeah, this is my first year. Obviously, thank you for making me feel so welcome and being so approachable. I wanted to know if you were able to share what was coming out of those restorative circles you're hosting with parents and staff, and what the schools have come up with for mitigating this happening in the future in terms of the door.
Yeah, so one just happened last night. I haven't gotten a full report on the one from yesterday, and one will be next week. We're going to want to listen to parents, see what they say. We kind of get a general gist of what people want, right? Get the doors locked, right, and fixed. And obviously it was fixed that next Monday morning at that point. And just reaffirm to everybody, I went over that week, met with the faculty twice during afternoons on that week, just to reaffirm the nice job that they did, but also let everybody know that anybody in our schools can escalate, and I say what we've practiced, unfortunately, from a shelter in place to a lockdown, which are two different scenarios in there, but any of our employees can call those. And they do know that, and we have things posted on the walls. We've found that some of our printed material, nothing that's in the room itself, but some of them might have some different language here and there, because some of you, if you are in education or you've seen your kids, years ago you went from hiding in a corner. Then at times, some of the practice went to hiding in a corner, stand behind the door and hit the guy with a baseball bat, when they come through oh no, seriously, and, attack the person, throw tennis balls at them, throw things, right, to dissuade them. They're all different scenarios. I'm not saying you did it here, but they're different things. And then there's some practices known as, run. When things happen, get out and, scatter, and I'm saying this, into the woods and go away. So the different things over time, things have evolved, right? And we're working to make sure that all our printed material does that. But we do have training all the time. So we do train our teachers. Our convocation day, the first day with teachers and all the staff this year, they had 3 people. If you read the article in the newspaper, you would have seen that we did have a debrief with the state police, who's the school liaison for Central and Western Mass, our Franklin County Sheriff's Department, who does stuff with us all of the time, and our own Greenfield Police. And as I said, we acknowledge it was scary for staff and for students, but they did handle things well. They and the law enforcement as well, too. So things were done well. If the door held, we wouldn't even be talking about this, right, at that point, so.
Counselor Golub?
So it sounds like it's pretty important that all of the documents get updated and are consistent, and the training is the same. And I heard you say that you're working on that.
Yeah.
Do you know by when that will be complete, that updating?
Oh, yeah, by the start of school,
By the start of school?
yes.
Perfect, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so the training is on point, the training that our teachers receive. Some of the written, I found some old handbooks, some of the written procedures might not have been updated. But yes, but what they were told and given at the start of the school year and refreshed with all the time is up to date.
So I just have a quick, it sounds like from at least the newspaper, that you also are looking at the communications protocols, because I know there was some concerns about what we heard as parents and also what staff within the building. And I know there's, you're trying to balance the safety and information that people maybe might not need right then in the moment, but just be interested in how you're updating those protocols.
Yes, we're updating those too. We did, everybody who needed to know at the time frame was informed, and people were told, and email did go out to parents prior to the close of school that day, probably about an hour after the incident happened. You kind of hit the nail on the head, President, that there's a fine line in there of how much we can share at the moment, right? An hour after the incident, we're still gathering information. We don't have a ton to share, and we know that in this world, everybody wants everything fast, and we can appreciate that. Gone are the days when a newspaper was delivered right in the morning and then in the evening. Some of you might remember those, the morning edition and the night edition. Now it's instantaneous, right? If we don't get to somebody within minutes, they're like, what are you doing, sitting around? In that sense, far from it, in that sense of sitting around. But we did learn that people want a little different information, so we'll try to share that the next time when things happen. But we're still, at times, we'll hold information. You may recall years ago, if you went to an open house at your kid's school, and this could be a while ago for some of you yourself, you might get a map. And, okay, your kid is way down the hall, and take a left and a right, and you're in room 29 down there. We don't give maps out anymore. And you know what? You can probably guess why we don't give maps out anymore, right? So the bad guys don't have a map of our school and know how to either do things that aren't nice anymore. That's the thinking we have to have, unfortunately, right? And for those people, and most people are really nice. You don't go, even my head sometimes doesn't wrap around that deviousness, right? That some people, you have to think the other way, unfortunately, at times. And I know the police, have to think that way all the time and do a nice job of keeping us on point with that. So we're always considering those types of things of how much we share, what we do share. If I tell you every door that we fixed right now, people would then say, oh, well, that door might have been compromised, right? And that type of scenario. So we weigh that, and we know at times, we take some hits, but it's for the best. Sometimes they're calculated hits,
And Counselor Bullock?
Sorry, I was really trying not to comment because we have such a long meeting tonight, but I'm sorry if you already said this, but can you clarify for me now, if there is a lockdown at a school, will parents be notified, while that is happening? Because in the past, as a parent, I have been notified when that's actively happening. And I think that's really important for parents to know in real time that there's a lockdown at the school. I think the communication I got when it happened to my child's school was please do not come here. We're holding the release time of the students until, we got a follow-up text that said we're holding the release time till this time. So I'm just wondering, in terms of policy, can parents expect to receive an update if there is a real active lockdown? And then I do just want to say, I feel like we are very lucky in this situation. There was a lot of pieces here that we were very lucky about, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'm especially grateful, I think, that every student and staff was safe, and that there's been care taken into the person who, we've been told did not have malicious intent in entering the building. And I think that as a parent who's, my kid was a first grader when Sandy Hook happened, and that's when they locked all the doors, right? Like before that, you could just walk into schools, and, or at least where my kid was, you could just walk into schools. And so that's like a thing we've been told over and over, is that the doors are locked. So I think I appreciate in here that you're saying we'll have all these policies updated. And I think it's important for us as parents to know, like, will we receive communication if there is an like a lockdown that is active, to know that that's happening for our children in the future.
Yeah, I'm going to almost give you a non-answer. I'm going to tell you ahead of time. I'm going to have to read that policy on lockdown, because when it's happening, I don't know that I can sit here and promise you that the principal is going to be able to get to a desktop or a laptop and send that out. We did not have a lockdown last week. We had a shelter in place, right? That's what we had. We did not have a lockdown. A lockdown would be with a weapon, right, or a dangerous intruder. This person who did come in, right, was deemed to be not of harm to themselves or others, right? And that's why it was a shelter in place in that scenario. And that door was locked many of the times. The first time the person who came in hit the door, it didn't go open. The second time they did, right? The first policeman able to go in after opened the door. The second person couldn't get in. The second policeman could not get in, right? So it was something that had to be hit the right way, right? And hadn't been hit the right way in probably a long time until then, at that point. So, yeah, I won't sit here. We're looking at those procedures, and I'll pass that along to the next superintendent and say, you're going to know during the lockdown. That's probably a high crisis time to be able to have somebody go, depending on how long it extends, right? Depending on the scenario, they might be able to go, and then, like you mentioned, tell people stay away, right? Don't call. That's why we don't want phones in schools, because you jam up all the phone lines in that type of scenario. But we'll do our best to do that. But I don't want to sit here as I walk out in 10 days or, whatever, the 30th, and tell you they're going to do that and promise it for somebody else.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
At this time, I want to invite the mayor and any other folks that she wants to bring up.
Good evening, everybody. So a couple of things. We're going to be celebrating Independence Day, the America's 250th, with the fireworks celebration on Sunday, July 5th at Beacon Field. Fireworks start at about 9:35, and there'll be music and vendors starting at 4 p.m. I'm excited to share that Greenfield's historic Concord Stagecoach will be on display at Beacon Field during the day. And thank you to Councilor Bolduc for helping to make that happen, as well as DPW back there. They'll be helping with that as well. The fireworks are paid for in part by donations. You can find the link to donate to the Recreation Department under fireworks events, if you're interested in supporting this great event. To celebrate the 250th anniversary, the state has asked all municipalities to do a reading of the Declaration of Independence on July 8th at 6 p.m. We're planning a reading in front of City Hall, and we'll ask a number of people to participate. Hopefully we'll have a city councilor or two to join us. Details to follow. On the budget, I had sent a little graph to you last week. The graph included in the packet represents Greenfield's changing demographics. I think this data is important when thinking about budget priorities for the city. It's a well-known fact that our senior population is growing rapidly. In the year 2000, the senior population was about 17%. It's now 24%. And will increase to 30% of the population by 2030. Conversely, the population of children ages 0 to 18 has decreased from 20% in 2000 to 15% in 2020. With declining birth rate, the decrease in school-age children is projected to continue. Why am I mentioning that? I was asked about my budget priorities. The poverty rate for those over 65 is 17%. That's the highest of any age group in the city. The seniors may not be here lobbying you, but they do need your help. When money is short, they cut their pills in half and are the least likely to get proper nutrition. They need all of us to continue to watch the tax rate carefully. The Senior Center reports about 30 social service inquiries per month. Getting a social worker or perhaps two in at the Senior Center part-time is a priority of mine based on that data. Having 7 per shift at fire is also a priority. Call volume of medical calls has increased dramatically. We're up 10,000 calls over the past several years. With the population continuing to age, these numbers will only go up. There will continue to be a significant increase in medical calls as the boomers become seniors. So we should be looking at advanced life support services as well. And we are likely, many of our neighboring towns have trouble manning their fire and ambulance services, and we are likely to share in the burden of this as the whole county ages. I would love to have full-time security at the library, and I'd like the library to be open more hours on the weekend. And I'd like to add a DPW worker or maybe 2 who could be assigned exclusively to the Main Street to keep it pristine. And I would add a 4th person in IT as a department that stops over 20,000 cyber attacks or cyber attempts at intrusion per month. We have needs in most departments and would function more efficiently and effectively with more staff overall. But we have a very high tax rate relative to household income. That's why my focus on reducing the cost for Greenfield households by not further increasing their taxes is also a priority. And I have Stephen here today because we're also going to talk about some of the orders that we're not voting on tonight.
Okay. We have on here a request to revote some of the capital projects out of retained earnings. We met with the DOR this afternoon, about 3:30 this afternoon, and unfortunately, they are unable to allow us to move forward with that because they have not certified the retained earnings or free cash. This is very disappointing. However, this stems from a issue related to the cash reconciliation between the treasurer's office and the accounting office that stems back to 2025. As you know, in 2025, we lost everyone in the department. And the folks that we brought in were brand new to the position, had never worked in government before. And there was a 6-month period where a lot of things that should have been done were not being done due to the fact that we had Robert Half come in with a kind of a contract person to run both departments at the same time. So we are working with them on reconciling this cash book issue, and we have engaged several people to go ahead and do that. However, the DOR wishes to help us engage another company or another auditor to go ahead and do that. So we'll be working with them, and as soon as we have more information, we'll let you know. But the short answer is that we will not be able to revote those capital fund projects tonight.
Counselors, questions?
Yes. So I'm confused.
Okay.
I often am. So when you're saying revote, are you talking about the capital projects we've already gone through and said that need to happen, they cannot happen? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying, yes.
The ones that are from retained
Retained
earnings.
earnings.
Okay. And can you specify which ones those are?
On the agenda, they're under number 10, and one is a Chevy Equinox dump truck, windows and heating system, silo tower.
Hold on, I need to mark these.
Yeah.
So there's the Chevy Equinox to
Yep.
replace car number 10. There's, sorry, so anything from retained earnings?
Anything from retained earnings.
Okay, so the
it's-
dump truck,
So it's page 58, orders 64 through 73.
Yes.
64 through 73.
So
Okay,
the entire section 10,
the entire, all of
gonna
them.
skip.
Section 10.
Retained,
Well,
water
not
retained
almost
earn-
all of it.
Water retained earnings, okay, yeah, I see.
First
here.
part.
Okay.
Counselor Gordon.
I'm sorry to hear about this. This is obviously quite unfortunate, and I'm sure very stressful for you all.
Extremely stressful.
As it is for others as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about next steps and timeline for getting this resolved?
Sure. So over the summer months, we'll be engaging a firm, whether it be on our own or through the DOR. And what they are going to do is rebuild the entire cash book from FY25 to FY26. That represents over 2 million lines of transactions in order to do that. And a lot of the issue stems from in 2025 because, frankly, people did not know exactly what was going on. We would have entire warrants of hundreds of checks voided at that time, as well as transfers made without the supporting documents and things like that. One person that we got through Robert Half was trying to run 2 departments simultaneously. It didn't work. There's no question about that. It did not work. Luckily, we were able to get someone on board that we've had to train as the accountant. Another person, we hired an experienced treasure collector who did not show up on the first day of work. And so we had to go out and find another person, which made that more difficult. And so, and then, we're able to get a system in place. However, going through and making sure that that system is correct, it's in line with what the DOR wants, and going through those about 2 million lines of transactions is going to take at least the full summer to do.
Sorry, follow-up question. So then I don't know if you know the answer to this or someone else, but then do we have an opportunity to vote on these items that were submitted, or is the budget deadline passed at that point?
The budget deadline will be passed at that point.
Okay, but they could come up as financial orders in the new
could.
fiscal year?
They could come up. And some of them will come up for borrowing, but to spend something from retained earnings, which they were not going to certify today, although in one account, they were pretty sure it was 970-something thousand, and the other 173. They were going to wait to see how the whole reconciliation came out. A couple of them will need to be voted on with, just borrowing, because they'll need to be done. And we still have more capital orders that I have not put forward, but I was waiting to see where we were with that.
And does
Counselor Bullock?
this is just affecting retained earnings?
This affects retained earnings and free cash.
So what about enterprise funds?
And enterprise funds are where retained earnings
So-
come from. So
Okay.
there's only 3 accounts that have retained earnings. That's water, sewer, and GSET. And we are used to funding a fair amount of projects from retained earnings. That's been past practice. But all retained earnings have to do with those 3 enterprise funds and nothing else.
So does this affect the operating budget as well, or just the capital requests?
Just a capital request.
So I have 2 questions, or
Yeah, I just wanted to know if this affects the ability of just general day-to-day operations of these 3 enterprise groups?
No, they have a regular operating budget that you vote on every year. It's some of the extra things that are, they're actually needed, so we'll have to figure out which ones are the most needed and, what the other payment source will be.
So I have 2 questions. One, with the cash book not being followed, are we currently following the procedures and trying to reconcile every month currently?
Yes, we are working. We've went from the QuickBooks program that was not working well for us to just a general Excel program that's working with us. So we have kept up and kept up the cash book of both the treasurer side as well as the accounting side. And so what we're working now is to reconcile both of those for the year end 26. We should have that done, and it should be a fairly easy task for any auditor to come in because we've kept good records for 26. It's that period of about 7 or 8 months in 2025 when everyone was gone that it frankly became a mess. There's no question about it.
My second question is moving into voting for the operating budget and with the concerns about retained earnings and enterprise funds. Are there parts of this budget that's before us that we cannot vote on tonight?
None. The 27 budget is absolutely fine to move forward.
Counselor Gordon and then.
Asking the same question.
Counselor Gordon and then Counselor Bullock,
Yeah,
please.
you go.
Just to clear up confusion on that, so there are a couple of things under the FY27 operating budget that come from enterprise funds. So can we vote on those or no?
So you have your votes for enterprise funds. You have 3 votes for enterprise funds? Yeah, that does not have any.
Okay, it's money to the enterprise funds.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with this.
Thank you.
They are supposed to operate in a self-sufficient manner, and we have done what they asked us to do and go up on the rates. We've gone up every year since I've been in here, and they have requested that, and we told them again this year, we're sending out the notification, you notify people 6 months in advance. The rates are going up for January 1, and we announced that, by July 1st, and they will go up another 9%, which is close to the max allowable before it would come to council. I think you could go up to 15%, but I think they were happy with the 9.
Counselor Bullock?
Okay, so these appropriations into these enterprise funds, we're putting the money in them, but then for the 27 budget, they'll basically be like a locked box until we get DOR signs off on.
Exactly, the retained earnings portion, yes.
Okay, so we can't pull it for 20, unless this is all cleared up by July 1, we can't approve any fiscal orders out of these enterprise funds for 27?
Out of the retained earnings, yes.
Right, okay. So we can approve a budget tonight, but unless this is cleared up, we can't approve any financial orders out of these funds moving forward.
From retained earnings.
Right, right.
Right. Which is kind of like, a good way to think of it is like, there's leftover money in that fund because all the funds are supposed to be from water and sewer rates or from GSET rates. That's how they operate as an enterprise fund.
Yeah. So I guess the best way to explain it is that water and sewer, they take in a bunch of money, they provide a lot of services, they have a lot of expenses, and then what's left over at the end of the year is retained earnings. And we say that there is about 900 and some odd $1,000 in sewer retained earnings and about 175,000 in water retained earnings, or vice versa. I'm just going off the top of my head. And so that's the leftover money for the year. And the DOR is saying, no, until we have assurance that we know that that's the exact leftover amount, you guys can't use that.
Counselor Bullock?
Sorry, I'm just going to say I'm concerned about this as the Chair of Ways and Means. I think this would have affected budget deliberations. I understand that you had this conversation today with DOR, and so we're receiving this information in real time. I think it's going to be really important for us to receive, like, for next steps, for us to receive updates on a monthly basis on this situation in our Ways and Means meetings. Yeah.
I agree.
Counselor Golub?
So I'm still trying to just wrap my mind around this. You can assume that you're like a doctor talking to like a sixth grader. I know I've been on council for a while, but I want to make sure I completely understand and that members of the public completely understand what's going on. So I think what I'm understanding is that, and not to, that was not a slight towards sixth graders, because I'm sure there's a lot of sixth graders who understand what the doctor is telling them. So there was a period of time in which there was imprecise accounting. And therefore, the state is saying, because there was imprecise accounting, we don't know precisely how much money is in these funds. And therefore, we will not allow you to allocate money from these funds, not knowing the precise amount. Is that, I have a couple of follow-ups.
That's the 12th grade version, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I am following that. A couple of follow-up questions. How concerned are we about the discrepancies between what we've thought are in those funds and what is actually in those funds? Like, how much less might be in those funds than we've been counting on?
I'm extremely concerned, and I'm extremely concerned in the fact that it could be as high as a few $1 million, or it could be as low as, someone overbooked several payroll warrants and counted them twice. But then that would be in the hundreds of thousands of lines of transactions. So because we've taken in as much money as we think that we have, we've expended as much money as we think that we have, I'm 85% certain, no one stole it. Let's put it that way. No one's stolen the money. But I'm 85% certain that this is a bookkeeping and clerical error within those many hundreds of thousands of lines within those reconciliation reports. And so it's just a matter of finding it. And we'll know as further along as these groups, it's a company, we're hoping to use a company called CLA out of the Boston area, who specializes in municipal auditing, accounting, and procedures. So we're hoping that they can put the correct folks in place in order to go through all that.
And a couple of follow-up, do you have any sense of the cost of paying those consultants?
I'm thinking around $150,000, but I could be wrong on that. I don't know.
Okay, and does this mean that we will have no free cash in the coming year, or what is the projection for, and there will be none?
Likely none right now. However, this is on hold until we get that reconciliation.
Okay, and the reconciliation is going to be over the course of the summer. Do you have a projection of when?
I would say over the course of the summer and into the fall, yes.
Okay. Yeah, when you say a couple of million, I just become really concerned for our
Yes.
departments. Because even a couple 100,000, I look at the things that they're counting on, I look at all of these amounts, and I don't have I'm kind of adding up in my mind, but it's like $1 million, like, it's not that much, it's not millions. I'm just feeling for you all at the back of the room right now, and for the city, so. I think those are my questions. Yeah, thank you.
Counselor Webb?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify, you said you were extremely concerned and you thought it was a clerical error?
Yes, I'm extremely concerned because nothing is going to happen until it's found.
Okay,
And finding that within the vast amount of information is not an easy task. We have
Gotcha.
had at least one consultant work on it, and then another consultant work on it who owned a large auditing firm in the state and is widely considered the best mind in the state. And he basically said, I don't have enough time to go through all these lines. I can do a reconciling adjustment, but I don't have that kind of time.
okay, so what you think the reality is that the money is not missing, we're not gonna have to pay anything back, but it's just finding it in those thousands of lines?
I am 99.99% certain nobody stole several $1 million.
Cool.
That did not happen. It's a matter of finding where the journal entries that were not done or were not done correctly are.
So I'm going to go first and then Counselor Bullock. I've been I'm usually very even keeled, and I have to say I was really thrown by this. I'm a little bit angry that we didn't get a heads up sooner, because we talked to you guys all the time, that there were issues with free cash, that there were issues with certification, that it rose to the level that DOR was talking to us. I also recognize that our job as city council is oversight. And I think we have not had all the tools that we needed to be looking at the right things. I'm going to be bringing a motion next month, because I can't do it this month, that we get at least quarterly budget to actuals, that we get free cash information. I want to look at retained earnings and how those are going over time, because they were also concerned that our retained earnings have been going down year over year. And we don't have any information that shows us from year to year a lot of this information. I work for nonprofits. This is the information we give to our boards regularly. We have a much bigger budget than my little nonprofit. So this city council should have that information, and we should be asking for that information. This really ties our hands. So that's my comment.
I just want to say, I was assuming through today that they were going to certify that because they had given us every indication that they would. We actually all agreed on what the numbers were, what numbers they were talking today. So I was surprised by the way that this came out myself. But we've been working on the reconciliation, and I think I've said that here. We've had people in here. We had somebody working for like 6 months, that Michael. And then we brought Mr. Powers in, and I did not think that today was going to go the way it did either. President Wendelowski, I just want to tell you that, or I would have said that earlier.
I don't think it was clear to the council that our audits haven't been done for several years, and I understand that they're being held up, but those are indicators that we should have some concern, so.
Well, I think the 24 audit is in progress, which they were saying. I don't think that was more than, I didn't feel like that was very far behind at all.
No, the 24 is just about done. It's the 25 that is problematic because of the cash book situation.
So I have Counselor Bullock.
Yeah, so I'll say, I guess thank you, President Wondolowski, for a little bit of frustration in this. I feel like usually I'm the one who expresses anger in these moments. And I don't know, maybe it's like 5 years in, but I'm like, I don't think it does us any good to be angry at each other to solve a problem. So when you say nothing is going to happen until this gets solved, in terms of the city functioning financially, does that mean like we can't borrow? Does that mean, like, what does that mean nothing is going to happen, like in financial terms for us as a city? Like, what is our, if this doesn't get solved till the fall, or what does that mean in terms of us operating as a city?
So as far as daily operations go, nothing. Daily operations will stay the same. This has no impact on the daily operations. As far as this affects two areas, one is the DOR certifications and audits. They're the two areas that they affect, which in turn affects borrowing. We did go out last December, got a very favorable rate at 4% for borrowing. So this needs to be resolved by December in the fact that the cash book needs to get fixed. The 25 audit needs to get done. In order to borrow, they only need the 25 audit in order to do that. So we're going out for 27, but the 25 audit is essential. So they're the two areas where, when I say it puts things on hold, they're the two things that are put on hold.
That's helpful, thank you.
And we are ahead this year for fiscal year '26 on, receivables versus budget by, I think it looks like a couple million, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And that's another area that we had to look into with the 2025, is that the booked cash receivables were behind what we thought that they were. So that's another area that had to get reconciled within this whole piece.
Councilor Bonnelly?
So is it my understanding you've been working with the Department of Revenue for quite a while? So I'm angry too, but I'm also frustrated. Like, it doesn't appear the Department of Revenue has been particularly helpful if you've been working on this for months. And then we find out that we're not getting certified. Like, I'm curious, not that we know, but I don't understand why their guidance wasn't clearer months ago.
I don't know, but I will say this, every piece of guidance that they gave us, we followed. They asked us to increase the enterprise fund rates, to whatever was the max. They said to put somebody on the reconciliation, which we did immediately. They said to throw as much money at that as you needed. And we had not only this Michael in office as a temp, but then got Mr. Powers in. In the end, I can understand their decision, although I was disappointed today, because they're like 95% sure that that's there too, and it's unfortunate that we can't use it because there's things that are needed. But I think they're afraid that in case the overall number was under, then we'd have to pay back that, and I can see that. So, yeah.
Councilor Golub?
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted when I hear that you've been talking to DOR for months about this, and we haven't known about it until tonight, and this isn't transparency, which, yeah, I'm feeling very disappointed. I know you've said that you care a lot about transparency, and us hearing about this tonight is not transparency. And I know that Councilor Bullock said that we're wanting a thorough report at Ways and Means. I think that the thorough report needs to come to Ways and Means monthly. And here, I think the community needs to know about this. I would like to hear about this monthly. I will state for the record that if it's not at least mentioned a summary, a very brief, keeping track of this at the council meetings, I will ask about it. I think that the community needs to know, and there may not be, you might just be there looking at the numbers. I understand that that might be the update. I understand that there may not be a substantial update every month, but I think that we need, the community needs and deserves some report, some summary each month on how this is going until it is complete. So, thank you.
Since this is like the fifth time around, and I know we're going to go till midnight tonight, anybody else want to say something? And then I'll give last word to Councilor Bullock. Councilor Bullock.
I do just want to say that when, I have asked about free cash multiple times a month since January, and we have been told that you are working with DOR to certify the free cash. And so I understand that does not come as a surprise to me. And I will say I was like appeased a bit that you were working with DOR to certify free cash when that came up. I think the concern for me is that my mind was like, there's a problem that this hasn't been certified yet. Usually this is certified much earlier in a budget season or in our year. And so whether the solve for this is more communication between us, the counselors, and the mayor's office, or Ways and Means, or whatever that solve is, I think there needs to be another layer at this point of collaboration and understanding of this process, because I will take responsibility for taking at face value that like DOR is involved, they're working on it, but there was red flags for me that our free cash wasn't certified by this point in time. And yeah, so whatever, we can talk not in a
Right.
6-hour meeting about what the solve is for that.
I think that's it. So thank you. And I appreciate, the other thing I just want to comment for everybody, the fact that DOR is helping is actually really helpful. It gives us a lot more resources that we don't have. So let's take that so that we can move forward and get this resolved. So I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to open up public comment. It is 7:35. And just as a reminder for public comment, you've got 3 minutes, and when you come up, your name and where you live, those are the requirements. So the first person I have is Andrew.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andrew Petitamange, 32 Cleveland Street here in Greenfield. I was hoping to see more people here in the audience today to speak to something that impacts students here. I'm the parent of a rising 6th grader and a rising 3rd grader. And the rising 6th grader just spent 5th grade after school at the rec room that's run by our rec department. And I just want to give it a resounding endorsement and express how much it's needed, not only for the students, which it is. I mean, this is a place where they have the opportunity to experience a bit more freedom and maturity and independence. And it's been really facilitated by an amazing rec department that we have here in town. But it also has impacts kind of on the broader local economy in the sense that if parents don't have this additional place for young people to be while they're working, and then it can impact family budgets. So I really would like to encourage the city to utilize, I think I've been hearing that there's a potential for unrestricted government aid of some sort, to tap into that to ensure that that position is retained. And I think that's super important for the broad community and other programs like that in our town. And then also for the record, I'd also like to express my frustration at what I just heard here. That's really, I really feel like I see a city council, a very of capable, interested, and caring people that are really trying to dig into things. But then I'm also a public servant. I work for the federal government, so I have sympathy for people who are in these positions for our city. But it is really disappointing when the ball is dropped that hard. So I appreciate you holding them accountable, and I look forward to that being resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Steve O'Halloran. And if you push the button, it'll turn green. There you go.
Hi, I'm Steve O'Halloran, 17 Vermont Street, and I too indirectly participate in the after-school program. He, in fact, directly participates in the after-school program. And the first thing I'm going to do is read what he wrote today because he's a little sketchy on the speaking publicly. Dear City Council, I think Rec Room is important because it is fun. And it wasn't there, if it wasn't there, parents would have to take time off of work to pick up their kids. So Rec Room should stay. What I got out of Rec Room was I got to play games and socialize with other people, as well as play video games. Also, the main person who hangs out with the kids likes being there and has fun with us. Also, it's his job. Personal note, I work at Bay State Medical Center in the mental health unit. And people practicing socialization with other people and being able to communicate in an open, supportive way is extremely important. But, as we all know, we're different folks. We have different interests, etc. But the more you practice, the better you get. You're never perfect, but the better you get. And I see the Rec Room, and I've watched the dynamics as well. It clearly is a classroom, but it's a free classroom in the sense that there's a lot more space and the ability for people to interact and figure out what is my natural way to interact. The other piece of that is that if they develop emotionally, mentally, to be able to deal with the crazy world that we're in, then they too will be much more productive as they get older, which, as far as long-term investments, that's it. Anyway, you guys got a lot to do, so I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming out. I know public speaking was really scary when I was your age, and now I'm doing this, so someday you might be in this chair.
Question is, do you want this copy of this, or?
Sure, that would be fantastic.
You want to go give it to him?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have 4 folks online waiting in the queue, so I have Ursa Scherer next.
Hi, Council. Ursa Scherer, Greenfield resident in Precinct 6. I'm another voice in favor of if we do receive unrestricted government aid or funding, to continue the middle school rec room. I have a rising fifth grader. He has participated in the after-school program since kindergarten. We've been really, really happy with it. And I think for him, a few of the things that are key, one is that his entire class are kids that missed a year and change of preschool due to COVID. And I think if you ask any of the school administrators or teachers, they still are seeing the impact of that. And so more space to socialize, to socialize in an institution in this freer way that the past speaker just voiced, I think is critical for how he continues to grow up and other kids continue to grow up. I think it reduces screen time overall in the composition of his week. And it's a level of independence that he and our whole family have been looking forward to him continuing to build towards. So thank you very much for your time and consideration, and I'll yield.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I have Louise Amiot.
Good evening. I'm Louise Amiot. I live in Precinct 6, and I'm speaking about the data centers. I don't think it's on the agenda for tonight, but I did want to express my concerns for Greenfield being prepared to deal with the question of whether or not a data center would come into the area. I think most of us know that data centers use a great deal of water, and apparently that water is then contaminated, so it cannot be used for human use. They use a great deal of huge amounts of electricity, and they get precedence over the needs of people, so that energy shortages are possible, and energy price hikes are extremely likely. And as far as providing jobs, historically, they have provided jobs only in the building process. During the once they're built, apparently they use very few people and very skilled people. So I think if Greenfield is going to consider data centers, I think we really ought to look into it very closely. There was a letter in the paper today suggesting that we consider setting up rules for what, if anything, we would demand from data centers. I would like us to consider at least doing that much. We need to research this before we can give them an open door. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Molly Merritt.
Hi, Molly Merritt. I live in Precinct 7. I think many of you probably know by this point, I've been following the budget process pretty closely this year, attending a lot of meetings, giving a lot of public comment, listening to the public comment that other residents are giving, trying to get an op-ed published in the paper that they wouldn't publish. And I just want to say that at the end of this whole process, I'm just really sad. I'm really sad that we can't find the $80,000 or whatever it is to fund the rec room position. And you just heard testimony from parents and families about, what that's going to mean in their lives. I know council has received literally dozens of emails from other families about the impact that it's going to make. It just feels, the mayor was expressing, the fact that the demographics of Greenfield are such that, the population is aging and the school population is declining, but we have a role in that, right? Like, we can make Greenfield an attractive place for families. As a parent with a young child who moved here recently, I feel like I'm meeting people all the time who are new families who are moving to Greenfield because it's an awesome place to live and it's affordable. And, I would like to propose a vision of Greenfield where we invest in our schools and we invest in our programs for kids rather than throwing up our hands in the air and saying, it's only old people, we need to, stop spending money on kids. That's going to mean that more kids and families are going to choice out of Greenfield, to be honest, because that's a conversation that a lot of families are having. And if schools are underfunded, as they have been in the last couple of years, and if programs are being cut, then families are not going to want to stay in Greenfield. They're going to want to choice out. So I'm just another voice to say that if we have any unrestricted government aid or any, I understand that free cash is a whole other can of worms right now, but yeah, I'm just really sad that we're not able to invest in our middle school kids and support our families in that way. And I just should probably leave it there. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Michael Nord?
Yes, my name is Michael Nord. I'm a resident of Precinct 7, and I'm just here to reiterate the calls for funding the rec room and expressing my disappointment that that was not a priority for the mayor. Children are our future, and budgets reflect our priorities as a community. So I just think it's very disappointing that the mayor doesn't think that this is a priority, that there are other things in the budget that could have been trimmed to save a space, one of the few spaces and programs that are publicly available for kids, exclusively just for kids in this city. And yeah, I think it's just really sad, and I really hope that future budget seasons will reconsider this. Thanks.
Thank you. Jennifer Dowd?
Hi, I am Jennifer Dowd, Precinct 1 in Greenfield. I have a son who is going into 6th grade and utilizes the rec department very much. As a child who's not very much into sports and doesn't want to be glued to his phone, he utilizes these programs, and everything that Molly said is very on point. It is very scary about the budget and the mental health of our children, and we want to stay in Greenfield, and I really hope that this can be considered keeping, because I think it is very important for our children. So thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment period. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, both online and in the room. Really appreciate it. So we're going to move to, excuse me, public hearings and second reading. And that will go to Counselor Bullock on page 56. And I'm opening the public hearing right now at 7:50 p.m.
Okay. This is for the community preservation budget, correct?
Correct.
In accordance with Home Rule Charter, the Greenfield City Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 at 6:30 at John Zahn Community Center, 35 Pleasant Street, and on Zoom. Fiscal year 2026 community preservation budget. Appropriate $243,330 for operations of the Community Preservation Committee. Appropriate $8,730 from Community Preservation Act funding to Greenfield Recreation Department for Beacon Field enhancements. Appropriate $20,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to Greenfield Conservation Commission for Greenfield Conservation Fund. Appropriate $20,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to Greenfield Department of Planning for Miller's Meadow Project. Appropriate $24,600 from Community Preservation Act funding to Greenfield Tap and Dye Historic Painting Preservation Project. Appropriate $30,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to Greenfield City Clerk for preservation of historic city documents. Appropriate $30,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to Greenfield Housing Authority for security deposit and rental assistance fund. Appropriate $50,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to Rural Development Incorporated for 176 Main Street Affordable Housing Project. Appropriate $60,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to Franklin Community Cooperative for former Wilson's Building facade restoration. I'm sorry. Do you want me to keep going for fiscal year 27 operating budget? Okay, I thought I was just doing community preservation, sorry. Fiscal year 2027 operating budget, appropriate $70,024,736 for fiscal year 2027 general fund budget. Appropriate $2,815,181 for fiscal year 2027 water enterprise fund. Appropriate $3,895,664 for fiscal year 2027 sewer enterprise fund. Appropriate $2,202,201 for fiscal year 2027 Greenfield Community Energy and Technology Enterprise Fund. Establish budgets for revolving funds pursuant to MGL Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half.
And we don't have anyone signed up for public hearing, so I am closing the public hearing at 7:52.
Sorry, I have a question, though. That GSET number, I believe, is wrong. Is there anything we do about it now?
No, that'll come back around.
Okay, thank you.
Is the number higher?
It's higher. It's $2,382,970 is the correct number, I believe.
Stephen, we have a question because the number in the budget book was wrong for GSET. And we're not allowed to go over the mayor's
But it was
budget, and
correct
then-
in Munis, I believe.
Yes.
So the question is, the public hearing notice posting to the public was for $2,202,201.
Okay.
Typically, whatever it is published at is the amount that you can vote up to.
Yes.
If it's lower, fine, good to go. But you can't go over what it was published at.
Gotcha.
So
It seems to me that we'll have to vote this $2,202,201 and then come back with a supplemental appropriation at a later date.
that would seem appropriate,
Yes.
but
Yeah, that's my recommendation on that.
Can I get a commitment that we will do that from you, Stephen?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make
Thank
sure
you.
that gets to you. Okay.
Okay, so now we can close the public hearing at 7:55. Okay, so we're going to motions, orders, and resolutions. We are not talking about the revotes, so I didn't even say anything out loud about it. So we're starting on page 74, rescinding order number FY 26-100. Can I have Counselor Bullock, if you can find it, read the next, well, you're going to be reading all night, really.
Max said he wanted to read tonight.
He does have a really good voice.
Order number fiscal year 26-148. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council rescind the following order voted during the regular and fiscal year 2027 capital budget meeting held on May 20th, 26. Order number fiscal year 26-100. On May 20th, 2026, the Greenfield City Council, on a motion by Councilor Webb, seconded by Councilor Williams, it was unanimously 11 yeses, 0 noes, vote that it be ordered upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, the City Council approve the borrowing of $600,000 for repairs to the inflow and infiltration systems as part of the capital budget for fiscal year 2027. Funding will be from the retained earnings of the Greenfield Sewer Department. Majority vote required.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Order number fiscal year 26-149. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council rescind the following order voted during the regular and fiscal year 2027 capital budget meeting held on May 20th, 2026. Order number fiscal year 26-104. On May 20th, 2026, the Greenfield City Council, on a motion by Councilor Webb, second by Council Williams, it was unanimously voted that it be ordered upon recommendation of the Mayor DeSorger, the City Council approved the transfer of $100,000 for the engineering for the upgraded nitrogen removal as part of the capital budget for fiscal year 2027. Funding will be from the retained earnings of the Greenfield Sewer Department. Majority vote required.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Order number fiscal year 26-150. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council rescind the following order voted during the regular and fiscal year 2027 capital budget meeting held on May 20th, 2026. Order number fiscal year 26-117. On May 20th, 2026, the Greenfield City Council, on a motion by Councilor Webb, second by Councilor Williams, it was unanimously voted that it be ordered upon recommendation of the Mayor DeSorger, the City Council approved the transfer of $315,000 for the replacement of screen number 1 at the pollution control plant as part of the capital budget for fiscal year 2027. Funding will be from the retained earnings of the Greenfield Sewer Department. Majority vote required.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Order number fiscal year 26-136. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, move that it be ordered. Is this the same? Should I keep reading this?
I think we've got them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're going to, I would like to go to the CPA, and then we'll go to the operating budget without any objection from folks. So, Counselor Webb or Counselor Bullock, we're going to go to page 107, Operations of the Community Preservation Committee.
I can do it, I'm there. Order number FY 26-122, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $243,330 from Community Preservation Act funding for the following projects. 1, Greenfield City Clerk, preservation of historic city documents, $30,000. 2, Franklin Community Cooperative, former Wilson's Building facade restoration, $60,000. 3, Museum of Our Industrial Heritage, Greenfield Tap and Die Historic Paintings Preservation, $24,600. 4, Rural Development, Inc., 176 Main Street Affordable Housing, $50,000. 5, Greenfield Housing Authority Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Fund, $30,000. 6, Greenfield Conservation Commission, Greenfield Conservation Fund, $20,000. 7, Greenfield Department of Planning, Miller's Meadow, $20,000. 8, Greenfield Recreation Department, Beacon Field Enhancements, $8,730. Majority vote required.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Abstention. Any abstentions?
Yeah.
Sorry, you look like you were ready to go straight in, so, any discussion?
It was a unanimous positive recommendation from Ways and Means.
Thank you.
Yes, it was.
Counselor Golub?
I just want to say that this is the bright spot of the night, and you deserve all the awards. And I'm looking at Susan Rogoftik, and thank you for your work, and thank you to the. I'm so grateful that we have this money. Thank you to the voters for voting to pass to have this fund, and for the for the commission for doing all the work that you've done. So very grateful for a bright spot tonight.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Oh.
There, if I'm counting correctly, which I may well not be, there are 9 things under the community preservation budget on the agenda, and there's only 8 things listed in the, on page 107.
This is one of the 9.
What?
This is one of the 9.
The overall.
Oh, the overall
this
thing
vote
is one of
and
the 9.
other 8.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No. Should we take a roll call? No. Okay. Any other question or discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye, please. Any abstentions or noes? Fantastic. All right, now we're going to go to the operating budget. No?
We have to vote the other 9.
Oh.
The other 8.
Okay. We're going to,
129.
We just put all the money in the.
Kathy just looked at me, so I'm supposed to do something.
oh, we have to vote each one of them.
Oh, all right. I'm going back.
I
to
apologize. I
page-
thought it was one fell swoop.
I did too.
Page 129.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're on page 129, you said?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going back. Okay. Order number FY 26-123, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $8,730 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Recreation Department for Beacon Field enhancements.
Second.
How did,
They
they
were
all came out?
all
Okay,
unanimous
thank you.
positive, yep.
Okay. Does, any discussion or questions? I see some confusion.
Why?
Counselor Garrett?
Looking at the order, apparently there's going to be a chessboard installed. I'm curious, is this the same chessboard that used to live on Main Street? Does anyone know? It's a different chessboard.
Yes.
It says chess table. Is that different?
There will be 3 different things. Yes, there is going to be a chess table, that's correct. It is not the one that was on Main Street. And there also will be a cornhole and a ladder ball, which is it's been explained to me, I don't totally understand it, but kids know what to do with it, so it's good. And this will be installed by the DPW, so we're really talking about the equipment itself.
Any other question? Counselor Gordon?
This is not a question for Susan, although I very much appreciate you being here. But the sort of whispers that were happening over here were confusion about why it feels like we are voting on things twice. So I just want to clarify my understanding, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. But my understanding is that we just voted on the overall community preservation budget and saying, yes, we will spend this money on these things. And we're approving that budget to be able to spend the money on these things. And now we have to actually individually vote on each of those things. Is that accurate? So
That is
that's why it
correct.
sounds like we're voting on things twice.
Yes.
So for my fellow counselors and the public, that is why.
Correct, because we have to appropriate the full amount and say this is our intention with all of this money. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Order number FY 26-124, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $20,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Conservation Commission for the Greenfield Conservation Fund.
Second. Or so moved.
Any questions or discussion?
Which one?
All in favor? Aye.
Order number FY 26-125, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $20,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Department of Planning for the Millers Meadow project.
Second.
I don't see any questions or discussion, so all in favor? Aye. Abstentions?
Order number FY 26-126, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $24,600 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Museum of Our Industrial Heritage for the Greenfield Tap and Die Historic Painting Preservation Project.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Order number FY 26-127, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $30,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield City Clerk for the preservation of historic city documents.
Second.
I don't see any discussion. Oh,
Sorry.
Vice President Garrett.
Oh. I really appreciate this was brought up. These documents are stored, many of them in the basement of the City Hall, which is a mess. I would invite the public to go down there, but I don't recommend it. It's really like very, very grateful this foresight to keep these things from being destroyed, was thought of. So thank you. I know Quinn had a big piece of this, and so really appreciate it.
I know of other communities that are envious for the scanner, so they might be asking us to borrow it. I think Buckland was one of them. Councilor Bullock?
Do you need help?
Yeah.
So this project is expanding. It's not simply for city clerk anymore. It is going to be more for the municipality. But this will be put towards the scanner that it was maybe not intended for, but it will be put forth for a scanner for the municipality, and then we will be doing a larger project, so.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Order number FY 26-128, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $30,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for the Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Fund.
Second.
Questions, discussion? All in favor? Oh. Councilor
I just wanted to add what we talked about last night around it. Susan let us know that 3 families used this last year, and they're expecting more for the following year. This covers the security deposit and helps with first and last, and the security deposit goes back to the fund when it's done being used.
Thank you. That's a really important resource. All in favor? Say aye. Thank you. Next order.
Order number FY 26-129, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $50,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to Rural Development, Inc. for the 176 Main Street Affordable Housing Project.
Second.
I don't see any discussion. All in favors? Aye. Okay.
Order number FY 26-130, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $60,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Franklin Community Cooperative for the former Wilson's Building facade restoration.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Councilor Bullock?
This is the most delightful traffic hazard I've ever seen on Main Street. I can't help but stare at the old building. It is a fantastic project, so I'm very happy that this is happening. And that, honestly, I think Greenfield is well overdue for a project of this scale, and I think it's going to help revitalize downtown. So, thank you.
Anything else? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for the support. We really appreciate it.
Do you want to do this and then go to the budget? It's the appointments.
You think we can do it quickly?
Page 145.
So I want to go to the appointments and reappointments and knock that off. So that's page 145. Counselor Golub, are you
Yep.
ready to go?
do that.
Great, thank
All
you.
right. Order number fiscal year 26147. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council pursuant to Charter Section 210 affirms the following appointments and reappointments by the mayor, all terms to expire December 31st, 2029, unless otherwise posted. Board of Health, Dr. Darius Greenbacher. Board of License Commissioners, Ruth Ellen Henry and Phil Corient. Both terms to expire June 30th, 2029. Cemetery Commission, Ian Hodgson. Community Preservation Committee, Garth Shaneyfelt, mayoral appointment. Historical Commission, Tim Blagg and Margot Jones. Planning and Construction, Derek Healy and Jean Wall. Public Library Board of Trustees, Sarah Ahern Bellemare, William Benson, and Jonathan Cohen. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Gorgitska. Thank you. Public Safety Commission, Maria Burge, 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2030. Recreation Commission, Donna Dussel, change from full member to alternate, and Daniel Piasecki, change from alternate to full member. Trustees of the Soldiers Memorial, David Lewis and William Phelps, majority vote required.
Is there a second?
Second. And this received a positive unanimous recommendation from committee.
Any discussion or comments? Counselor Gordon?
Yeah, just a quick comment. And we have particularly when we have a long list like this, and, we have some version of this almost every month, it's just so striking to me how much it takes to make everything happen in Greenfield, right? And it's our city departments, and it's the executive office, and it's the council and the school committee, but it's also all of these committees that, I wouldn't have known that we have the cemetery commission, like trustees of Soldiers Memorial. I'm really grateful that people are doing that work. I'm just really appreciative of everyone who comes together to make everything work. And I'm particularly happy to see former Councilor Healy's name on this and appreciate that he couldn't quite stay away from city government. Also former Councilor Burge. Well, that's a little while longer ago.
I'm also appreciative, and all in favor, say aye. Aye. Great. All right, so we're going to circle back to the operating budget. So this is going to be the process. The Ways and Means Chair, or Councilor Webb, will read the total order. We have to get a second, and then next we're going to go department by department, section by section. If there are no amendments, there is no vote required, so we will keep going. So just want folks to know that if there's no changes, we're not gonna go back and have discussion. If there is an amendment, it must be specifically stated that the amendment is either to the salary and wage line item or the expense line item, and the amount to be reduced. This must be moved and seconded, then the rationale given, discussion and a vote taken. That must be a majority vote. If the amendment is approved, a new total must be stated, and the bottom line of the department and section must be noted. Please note that reductions are only to the total salary and wage or expense line. The council cannot amend items within the total salary and wage or expense line. So if you don't like that there's too many pencils, we're doing the total line item, and if they want all the pencils and are going to reduce something else, that's what's going to happen. All right, so that is our roadmap for this evening. We will take a break at some point, but let's see what we can get into and go from there. So Counselor Bullock, it is in your capable hands.
Thank you. And just one other point of clarification. So if an amendment is made, are we asking the finance director to do the math and then give us the bottom line number for each department?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is that okay with you? Perfect.
He's got his abacus over there.
Fun. Okay. Order number FY 26-136, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the City Council votes to appropriate the sum of $70,024,736, which is the full amount necessary for the fiscal year 2027 general fund budget, July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. To meet said appropriation, the following funding sources and amounts will be raised and transferred from parking meter receipts reserved, $250,000, pension stabilization, $200,000, raise and appropriate, $69,574,736. Majority vote required.
Second?
Recommendation from Ways and Means?
This was a unanimous positive recommendation.
Any other discussion or comments? Okay, Counselor Gordon.
I'm just the appreciation person tonight. Huge thank you to Ways and Means for the incredible amount of work that goes into this during budget season. And so the public knows they put in so much work. The rest of the council, I think all of us probably have either attended those meetings or watched the recordings and all of that. So when folks don't hear a lot of discussion, I'm afraid sometimes that they think we're just rubber stamping things and not, asking questions, but it's because so much work under Councilor Bullock and everyone else on Ways and Means has already happened. And so just really grateful for your many, many hours of labor on this.
I second that, and to all the city departments who also got questions asked and responded to everybody. And I just appreciate that all counselors were thoughtful about how we were asking questions and not making them do piecemeal work for us. So thank you, everybody. All right.
I just want to say one thing, which was a huge thank you to all the counselors on Ways and Means, not to single you out, John, but especially the new counselors who asked so many questions, which bravely, it's not always easy to be like, I have no idea what's going on. And so I really appreciated that. And same thing, we invited every department to come and speak to us, whether or not they needed to. And so a huge thank you to all the departments who came, and some of them stayed very, very late to talk to us. So thank you so much. And also to the mayor and finance director who attended every meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take this as a roll call because this is $70 million. So.
We go through the whole budget first.
Oh, we go through it first.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought we had to do the.
We're going to have to do some math.
Okay, so let's go department by department.
Okay. City Council. Salary and wages, $85,594, sorry. Expenses, $21,600. Total, $107,194.
Do I have a second? Oh, we don't. Are there any amendments? Okay. Next one.
Mayor's office, salary and wages, $212,501. Expenses, $12,800. Total, $225,301.
Is there an amendment?
No. Oh, sorry, not for me. Maybe someone else has one.
All right, next.
Chief of Staff, $73,945, expenses $500, total $74,445.
Any changes? Thank you.
Economic Development, salary and wages, $1,045, $145,000. $145,075. This is too early in the evening for me to be like this. Expenses, $23,489. Total, $168,564.
I see no amendments.
Do I need to read the total executive line too? Yes. Total executive, $468,310. Okay. Financial administration, accounting. Salary and wages, $322,514. Expenses, $183,800. Total, $506,314.
Any amendments? Audit.
Audit expenses, $60,000. Total audit, $60,000.
I see no amendments. Assessors.
Assessors, salary and wages, $217,191. Expenses, $85,950. Total, $303,141.
Any amendments? Treasurer collector.
Treasurer collector, salary and wages, $205,338. Expenses, $31,910. Total, $237,248.
Any amendments? Tax title.
Expenses, $60,000. Total, $60,000.
No amendments.
Total financial administration, $1,166,703.
Okay, on to operation support.
Legal labor expenses, $95,000, total $95,000.
No amendments. Legal city.
Legal city expenses, $150,000, total $150,000.
No amendments. Human resources.
Salary and wages, $287,608, expenses $9,021. Total, $296,629.
I see no amendments. Technology.
Technology, salary and wages, $316,700, expenses $419,850, total $736,550.
Any amendments?
Total operations support, $1,278,179.
Okay, moving on to licensing and registration.
City clerk, salary and wages, $204,987, expenses $8,050, total $213,037.
Any amendments?
Sorry.
Okay, on to elections.
Elections, salary and wages, $27,200, expenses $8,000, total $35,200.
No amendments.
Board of Registrars, salary and wages, $3,500, expenses $16,100, total $19,600.
No amendments.
Licensing Commission, salary and wages, $12,000, expenses $1,100, total $13,100. Total licensing and registration, $280,937.
Okay, so we'll move on to land use and development.
Land Use and Development Conservation Commission expenses $500, total $500.
You guys sure on this one? Okay.
Planning Board expenses $500, total $500.
Okay.
Zoning Board expenses $750, total $750. Planning Department salary and wages $120,000, expenses $7,050, total $127,050. Total land use and development $128,800.
Okay, other general government,
Central services, salary and wages, $13,000, expenses, $291,000, total, $304,000. Central maintenance, salary and wages, $565,157, expenses, $166,350, total, $731,507. Energy, salary and wages, $111,963, expenses $973,750, total $1,085,713. Total other general government, $2,121,220.
we're on to public safety.
Public safety, police salary and wages, $3,892,437, expenses $299,450, total $4,191,887.
Are there any amendments?
This one does have an amendment. We got an email this afternoon from the chief of police amending this budget to subtract $6,000 from building and maintenance supplies, which would be in the expenses line. I didn't do that math.
So we'll need a motion.
Oh, sorry.
To reduce the expenses by six.
I make a motion to reduce the expenses line from $299,450 to reduce by $6,000 to $293,450.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Do we
Any-
have to vote on do we need the total appropriation line, though? Or-
The new total appropriation will be $4,185,887.
Okay, do we have to vote on that too, Kathy?
I don't think so.
No.
I think as long as you vote the expenses and the reduction,
Okay,
it's automatic calculation.
okay.
Okay, parking next.
Parking, salary and wages, $44,702, expenses $81,200, total $125,902. Dispatch, salary and wages, $711,826, expenses $15,900, total $727,726. Fire, salary and wages, $3,037,522, expenses $233,508, total $3,271,030. Building inspection, salary and wages, $270,200. Expenses, $6,400, total $276,600. Weights and measures, $25,000, total $25,000. FERCog Inspections Program, expenses $106,500, total $106,500. Animal inspection salary and wages, $3,000, total $3,000. Emergency management salary and wages, $5,500, expenses $16,600, total $22,100. Animal control, the salary and wages are zero, expenses $28,563, total $28,563. Total public safety, we just.
Stephen?
$8,772,308.
We're going to do schools and then take a break.
Great. Education. Education assessments, expenses, $1,531,206. Total, $1,531,206. Greenfield Public Schools expenses, $24,147,804. Total, $24,147,804. Total education, $25,679,010.
Okay, thank you. So let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back and pick it up at Public Works.
Great.
.45, and we are back in session. And for those at home who don't know where you are, you're at Greenfield City Council. It could just be background information. You're doing something else. So we are going back into the Public Works budget.
Public Works, DPW operating, salary and wages, $2,394,287. Expenses, $706,350. Total, $3,100,637. DPW snow and ice removal, salary and wages, $83,000. Expenses, $144,800. Total, $227,800. DPW street cleaning expenses, $42,000, total $42,000. DPW trash disposal, $545,044, total $545,044. DPW cemetery expenses, zero. Total Public Works, $3,915,481.
Okay, move on to Human Services.
Health inspection services, salary and wages, $252,550. Expenses, $33,200. Total, $285,750. Council on Aging, salary and wages, $150,725. Expenses, $4,600. Total, $155,325. Veteran Services, salary and wages, $266,766. Expenses, $322,702. Total, $589,468. Human Rights Commission expenses, $500, total $500. Commission on Disability Access, $500, and expenses, total $500. Domestic Violence Task Force expenses, $500, total $500. Total human services, $1,032,043.
Culture and recreation.
Library, $781,350 in salaries and wages. Expenses, $141,000. Total, $922,350. Recreation Department, salary and wages, $239,263. Expenses, $10,100. Total, $249,363. Historical, sorry.
I don't have an amendment, but I would like to discuss this item, which we can do. I think it's allowed. We've done it in prior.
We can discuss it, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different things that I could say about this, but I'm very disappointed that we, according to this budget, are not going to have an after-school program for our middle schoolers come the coming year. And there's so many different things I could say. There's just 3 points that I want to make. I think that, one, it's really important for us to distinguish between caring and prioritizing. I think that for example, all of the items that the mayor said were her priorities are things I also care a lot about. But we don't have, for example, I have an aunt right now who's really struggling, who's 90 years old. I know about the depression rates, especially of people over 85 years old. It really matters. It does matter. I care deeply that we invest in seniors and fire and library and DPW and IT. All these things matter. But when we have limited funds, whether that's a home budget or a city budget, we have to make hard priorities. And for me, the after school for middle schoolers is something I would have chosen to prioritize. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and I think that that's really the case in this situation. I think that investing in services, the amazing services that the rec department provides for our middle schoolers is a preventative measure that can reduce the needs for social worker at the library, or reduce the needs for dispatch to show up. And I prefer to invest in prevention. And then finally, the third point is that vision is powerful, and that we can look at the current demographic trends and make choices that just follow that, or we can set a decisive vision that has the power to bring us in the direction that we want to move. There's a lot that is very scary and sad that is going on in our world, both in Greenfield and elsewhere. And if we just said, okay, given where we're going to do the thing that responds to that, and these are times that require a vision that has the power to move us in a different direction. And I really do understand wanting to respond to the demographic shifts. I also want us to make decisions that will shift the direction, and I think we have Greenfield is an amazing place, and I think we have a real opportunity to bring new families. I was a new mom when I came here. My son is now 18, and I'm so grateful to have raised him here. So I want us to have a vision that honors current trends, but also does our best to shift them. For example, if we continue on this trajectory, how much more money will be lost in school choice and students choosing elsewhere? So I'm not going to make an amendment. I have no power to make an amendment currently, but I think I echo a lot of people in this city, and I'm really sad that as of this budget, there is no after school for middle schoolers in our town now.
Counselor Williams?
Yes. It is my understanding, and it could be wrong, but it is my understanding that within the Recreation Department, there is a revolving fund. And from that revolving fund, it is possible to produce 2 part-time positions in order to keep the rec room open. So the question is, will there be a rec room or not? I think there can be. The question is it going to be the same as it has been? Perhaps not, because obviously the full-time position has been negated, but there is a possibility, and I hope it's taken advantage of, because I agree, and I think everyone agrees it's an important program. So I just hope it goes forward, perhaps in a different form. I hope the vision of folks who make that decision is in place in order to continue it, because obviously there's a lot of folks who have been spoken to it. It is important. You know, of course, it's about kids. We want to take care of kids, but I think an adjustment has to be made here in order for it to continue right now. So I just wanted to make that clear, that that is a possibility in order to save this program and for it to go forward, that 2 part-time positions can be created legally from that revolving fund. Thank you.
Counselor Bullock?
Yeah, since we are discussing this, I will just say I feel very conflicted about this. You know, I don't know what I do know my kid will do next year is walk around town, and I will, between the hours of 2:10 and 5:30, look at his location every 15 minutes and be somewhat worried about it. But he's old enough for some freedom, and right now he utilizes that freedom at the rec room. So I obviously have a personal affinity for this program and the staff that run it. All of that to say that I think part of the vision that Councillor Golub talks about in this current budget season means that we need to be able to envision something different. I would prioritize differently than Ginny, than the mayor, sorry. But I respect that she has a need that she is meeting with this current budget. And so I can say what I'm committed to as a counselor who has an investment in this, and I've spoken to Department Head Moore numerous times throughout this process. I've spoken to the mayor numerous times through this process of the budget season to try to find a creative solution. But I am committed to trying to bring both Director Moore and the mayor together with myself and whoever else is willing to do that, to have a conversation to envision creatively what we could do to make sure that there is some kind of programming for middle schoolers. And I don't think that we can do that through an amendment tonight, but I do have a commitment to at least try to make that conversation happen in the near future.
Counselor Webb?
Yeah, I just wanted to read from the paper that the Rec Commission gave Ways and Means when they presented their budget. Hold on, I just lost what I was going to say. The program came online 3 years ago after a 15-year hiatus and has been gaining momentum ever since. The fact that it took so long to get the program back speaks to how difficult it is to get something back once it's gone. And I want to highlight that point that, yeah, we need to keep this on the table as something we keep discussing and finding a solution for. And I couldn't agree more with having a vision for the future. I think we have the power to change it if we act on it, so we should.
I'm very in support of continuing the rec room program. I look at the demographics of our community and really rely on this program to make sure that kids have somewhere safe to go after school so that working parents have can still work, really. I mean, this is something that allows people to put food on the table. So, and I also heard the mayor in the spring wanting to come together and figure out a solution. So I want to work with the mayor on that solution. I think we can get this done. We've done some creative things before. We figured out the GIC thing. There's a lot of room here, and I know the mayor's committed to our children as well. So I look forward to figuring something out when we're past this budget. Any other comments, Councilor Bottomley?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I believe that there's a solution to this, because one thing we heard through this whole budget, because there are a lot of cuts, and last year, boy, I don't know. I mean, just looking at the big cuts, it was like maybe 700, 800,000 from the expense lines of budgets. So it's been 2 years in a row that's pretty tough, but I've seen a lot of creativity and willingness of department heads to try to find solutions. And sometimes it's not ideal. Many times it's not ideal. We've heard from many department heads this year and last year about the difficulties of the budget crunch. And I just wanted to remind everybody, we're still in that perfect storm, if people don't remember. It's very important to keep the big numbers of increased retirement, increased health care, lack of federal funding. These are all adding to this huge crisis. But I don't know, I believe in our department heads and that we'll find a way to save that program, because it's important, and Director Moore has done really good work.
Are there any amendments? Okay. And just as a reminder to the public, we can't add money to budgets, we can only cut as a city council, which just makes it really hard. Our hands are tied here. Okay.
Historical Commission expenses, $500, total $500. Total Culture and Recreation, $1,172,213. Debt service, long-term debt principal expenses, $2,068,120. Total, $2,068,120. Long-term debt interest expenses, $1,246,200. And expenses total, $1,246,200. Short-term interest expenses, zero, total zero. Total debt service, $3,314,320. Miscellaneous, FERCog assessment, expenses $101,740, total $101,740. Contributory requirement expenses $7,336,512, total $7,336,512. Workers' compensation insurance $300,000, total $300,000. Unemployment insurance expenses $150,000, total $150,000. Employees' health insurance expenses $11,200,000, total $11,200,000. Employees' life insurance $130,000. Medicare city match expenses $530,000, total $530,000. Liability insurance expenses $833,766, total liability insurance $833,766. Total miscellaneous $20,582,018. Total operating budget $70,018,736.
I think it just changes this to 78.
Right, so this one. So that changes that. Does it change this also?
Stephen, I'm wondering if that changes the raise and appropriate the 69,574, if that goes down by 6? It should go down by 6. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. So this would go,
63.
sure. That's, I don't think that's correct. I think that's, I'm losing it by.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm over by 1 digit. 68.
So does that make the raise and appropriate amount in the order $69,568,736? We're holding.
I did it in my head.
Sorry? Give me that number again. $69,568,736.
Do we need to read this?
Reading the amended, making a motion to amend the main motion by, do you want me to? Yeah. Do you want me to read it?
Please.
I would suggest that the main motion be amended to read as follows. That the city council votes to appropriate the sum of $70,018,736, which is the full amount necessary for the fiscal year 2027 general fund budget, which is July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. To meet said appropriation, the following funding sources and amounts will be raised and transferred from parking meter receipts reserved, $25,000, pension stabilization, $20,000, and raise and appropriate $69,568,736. This would need a motion and a second and a vote to amend the motion.
I think I can do it. I make a motion to amend FY 26-136 to read, the city council votes to appropriate the sum of $70,018,736, which is the full amount necessary for fiscal year 2027 general fund budget, July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. To meet said appropriation, the following fund sources and amounts will be raised and transferred from parking meter receipts reserved, $250,000, pension stabilization, $200,000, raise and appropriate $69,568,736.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? Okay, we'll take a roll call on the amendment.
You threw me off.
I know.
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Dumas,
Yes.
Counselor Bottomley,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Bolduc,
Yes.
Counselor Webb,
Yes.
Counselor Brown,
Yes.
Vice President Garrett,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas is not here. Counselor Sibisanals,
Yes.
does the president wish to vote?
Yes, and yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Now, the main motion as
Okay.
amended needs to be voted.
And now we need to vote the main motion as amended. So do I have a motion on that? Okay.
You just need to vote.
All right, everybody ready?
Yes.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions, opposition? The motion passes. We have passed the budget.
Done. Okay. So we want to go
I didn't know my mic.
Where are we? Okay.
Page 87.
All right, so we're going to go to page 87.
Thank you,
Okay. Order number FY 26-137. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the sum of $2,207,731 be appropriated for the FY 27 operations of the water enterprise, and further appropriate the sum of $607,050 to be transferred to the general fund for indirect costs, for a total appropriation to the water enterprise fund of $2,815,181 to be raised from water user rate receipts for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Excuse me, I assume this was unanimous, positive, out of committee?
Yes.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Now do we,
Page 92.
which one?
Page 92.
92. Okay. Order number FY 26-138, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the sum of $3,152,974 be appropriated for the FY 27 operations of the sewer enterprise, and further appropriate the sum of $742,690 to be transferred to the general fund for indirect costs, for a total appropriation to the sewer enterprise fund of $3,895,664 to be raised from sewer user rate receipts for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Order number FY 26-139, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered that the sum of $2,029,701 be appropriated for the FY 27 operations of the Greenfield Community Energy and Technology Enterprise, GSAT Enterprise, and further appropriate the sum of $172,500 to be transferred to the general fund for indirect costs, for a total appropriation to the GSAT Enterprise Fund of $2,200,201 to be raised from the GSAT user rate receipts for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Garrett.
Should it read, and further appropriate the sum of $172,500 to be transferred from the general fund for indirect costs rather than to the general fund?
It should.
Is that right?
Actually, it's going from to.
It's going from GSET to the general fund? So this is correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Order number FY 26-140, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered to authorize the revolving funds budget in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half for the fiscal year 2027. Receipts received but not expended in fiscal year 2028 shall be carried over to fiscal year 2028 unless otherwise prescribed by MGL.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Now are we at 155? Okay.
We need to go to.
This is really fun, guys.
Right.
So we are now
I was
at,
being serious.
we are now at presentations of petitions and similar papers. There are none. Reports of committees, nothing posted. Unfinished business, none. Old business, new business. And now we are at first reading.
City Council first reading, June 17th, 2026. Appropriate $100,000 from borrowing for repairs to Poet Seat Tower. Appropriate $100,000 from capital stabilization for repairs to Poet Seat Tower. Appropriate $322,000 for FY 2027 Community Preservation Committee budget.
Are there any motions for reconsideration? I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I heard some seconds.
I motion.
I think it was Counselor Williams. No? All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Adjourned at 9:13.
Adjourned at 9:13, I think it's a record.